everybody, good morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Ann, Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard, John. Kiki was there, but then she disapparated, so no dog today. Hi, how are you all? Happy New Year. Is everybody ready to make an awesome run at this new year? I have to order some more green stuff. Green users. I'm almost out. I'm going to take this flannel off and see if I can manage without it today, but I'll keep it wrapped around my waist just in case. Because it gets a little cool down here, or back here, sometimes. I am going to, my next step, guys, is I decided to order the new face cam today. So hopefully by next week we'll have a new face cam. Face cam. Oh no. Oh no, Turgeon. Well, you get a new book eventually. You get a new book. Actually, this is my focus month. I knew from last year, or the year before last year, that December was a terrible writing month for me. There's just too many holidays. There's too much family. Like, the second half of the holidays, essentially, just like, the second half of the month is erased for me as far as writing goes. So I gave myself, like, easy December. But now, January, it's on. I'm going to do 50,000 words this January. So this is my nano. I already warned David, which is actually fine because he's got Zelda. He is totally addicted to it now, guys. He still complains about the controls on the Switch a little bit. There's too many buttons, they don't do what I want them to do. But then he sits there glued to that thing all day yesterday. So. Oh, thanks, Crowley. Hold on. California is being washed in the ocean by giant waves. I haven't noticed it, but we have a mountain range in between us and the coast, so even though David refuses to call them mountains, I do, and so does the map. So, I think the ocean will have to work a little harder to wash that away. Santa Cruz might be being washed away. I don't know. That would be a shame. I have friends in Santa Cruz, but I think they live up the hill, so maybe they'll be okay. News loves to do that stuff. Crowley! 4 years. 4 hamster years. 4 hamster years. 4 hamster years, quadruple subiversary, happy quadruple subiversary. There you go. It's a wonder I can sing this early, honestly. Alrighty. Let's get, oh, hi! Oh, did you hear me sing? Did you hear me sing? Wait, there's a doglet. Come here, doglet. Yay! So not only does SSC like it, but Kiki likes the singing. Oh yeah, we have a Kiki appearance. A Kiki appearance, yes, it's you. It's you, Keek. Say Happy New Year, Keeker. Happy New Year, right? Yeah, good girl. There we are. Oh, people trying to be fit. Yes, when they all quit. Yes. Yeah, I forgot to ask my CrossFit people if they see a surge. Doing your little hamster dance. All right, great. Awesome. See, I have my CrossFit gym in the garage. I wish I had, like, more cardio options. I wish I had room for a treadmill. I really do. Like, because winter, I just don't want to go outside. So it's like, I'm just coming to the conclusion that I must, if I want to walk or jog, I have to go, like, before dark. Kiki? Settle. No dig. Just settle. She wants to dig every time before she lies down, and it's just, like, ripping up the floors. Like, we're going to have to replace all the floor. Every bit of this hardwood floor needs to be replaced when we sell this house, if we sell this house. Because somebody's little paws and claws are doing damage, shall we say. Run through a puddle and fall due to a pothole. Oh no, Kernico. Oh, hit Kelly as extra waves. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about it, but then I'm like not news attuned. Yeah, we did. Actually, we had a lot sweep through in the last, like, a few days ago. Last couple days have been okay. Yeah. Oh, foot dock. Yes! Yes, Inara, everybody! Rocky victory hands for Inara! Awesome. That's fantastic news. I'm going to be gone a couple of days this month, Quindy. I'll be texting you, messaging you, Discording you, something, whatever, typing thing to you about the days, because I've got health checkups to do, and I don't think y'all want to see me like on here being hangry the day before my colonoscopy. Like, no real breakfast Anne is not an Anne that needs to be streaming. I fear that at that point my normal courtesy and politeness would break down if we got somebody trollish in the chat. So I'm just gonna save you all from that, and I'll probably take 2 days off. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't own a Ouija board currently, only tarot cards. Yeah, for sure. Walking. Yeah. Good. Walking is good for you. Walking is good for everybody. But yeah, so that'll be like, I think the 15th and 16th, and then I have I don't remember. I may be able to actually stream just fine for the other yeah, the other one doesn't affect my streaming. Awesome. So yeah, so it's just the colon scope. That's great. That's great. I actually was able to make the other appointment in the afternoon, so yes. Sweet, sweet, sweet. But yeah, getting my health stuff checked out is on the docket this year. Fun. So we shall see. We shall see. Although honestly, I'm a lot better since I started. Since I dropped the caffeine. Although, you know, due to dark chocolate, apparently you never really drop caffeine. I would have to go chocolate free. I would have to go not only caffeine free, but also chocolate free to drop caffeine, since caffeine has actually quite a load of caffeine. Chocolate has quite a load of caffeine in it, which I looked up and was horrified about. But I'm trying to control it. Yeah, it's the first of the year where you're like, oh, I should take care of that stuff, right? Yeah. Alrighty, Ed. I know what we're gonna do, and it's gonna be a while. We're gonna be spending a bit on Ed here. We're gonna be doing a bit. First of all, we need to get him to the point where we can put his base up here. I think I'm gonna have to use most of this cork. I'm gonna grab my knife and an appropriate sculpting tool. But what I decided after looking at gravestones that were available and gravestones that I had, that I do want to put a couple gravestones on the base, but I'm gonna sculpt them. I'm going to use plastic card, and we're going to use green stuff to skin over and sculpt them. Because I didn't really... Ed is a little shorter than today's scale, and so we're going to need thinner, taller. We're going to need to be able to customize the size of our gravestones so that they look right. Everything else I have is just way too chunky and way too big. Maybe one of them would be okay as a larger monument, but the other ones are just way too big. They fill up the base too much. So, yeah. Yeah, me too, Agent Marvel. Me too. For sure's. Alright, so let's just try to do this. Chonk it off. Chonk it off. We're just going to chonk it off. Chonk it off, and then we're going to chonk off this bit. Now I'm just guesstimating at this point. I can always use green stuff to fill it in. But I want this to be wide enough to still hold Ed so that I can putty around it to blend it in. So with our knife marks as kind of a scoring technique, we can rip those off, and then we can see where we are, and that's actually pretty good. I wanted to leave a little ledge. I also want to have this guy be in front, so I need to take Ed off of his base at this point to see where I'm going to place him. Probably right back here. I wanted a couple of levels. I'm going to blend in the front of this skelly, and I'm going to put that other skelly down below. So we're going to score this, leaving a little space out front to blend in the lip of the skelly's base there. That leaves us with this. We're going to keep all of our little extra chunks of cork because they will be useful. I want to put this back, and I'm going to just scrape off parts of it. Yes, dark chocolate has less sugar, but it has more caffeine, Turgeon. There is a whopping, are you ready? For 1 gram, or 1 ounce, sorry, 1 ounce of dark chocolate, which is what, 2 squares? There's a whopping 22 grams of caffeine in that. If it is of a, like, over 65% variety, which is what I eat. Yeah, that's more than green tea. More than a cup of green tea. It's a crap ton of caffeine. And especially if you eat more than 2 squares a day, as many of us do. Hello. So yeah. It's kind of crazy how much caffeine. If you have milk chocolate, 1 ounce is 12 grams. Because of all the milk taking away your cocoa. Oh, hush you. More for me. Kernico. I'll take that dark chocolate off your hands. But yes, you can have that. You can have your milk chocolate. Although I discovered our maids gave us chocolates. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but our maids gave us chocolates for Christmas. And they are of a kind that replaces, I don't remember what it's called, but 30% of the cocoa butter gets replaced by ground up hazelnuts, so hazelnut butter. Yeah, they're pretty darn good. It's the best milk chocolate I've had. Like, seriously edible milk chocolate for me. Because, yeah, I already take all the meat. So I'm going to just chunk away at this, guys, until I get some little fragments that I can use to fill in the area down below, and also to create a nice rocky texture here. So essentially, as I pull this down, let me get this closer. So I'm just creating, I'm chowing away more at the top than I am at the bottom, and then I'm going to use some of this extra bits to just fill in any areas that I need to with gravel. Yeah, fingers crossed, Turgeon. I mean, probably you'd have to kind of look at it, right? And question yourself, is that about as much as a square of dark chocolate? You know, half an ounce. I guess I would look at how many ounces of beans you were eating, which is probably a handful, probably a couple, what, 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces for a handful? So you probably are only having about half an ounce of chocolate with that? I don't know, it depends on how thick the chocolate coating is. Some of them have a lot of chocolate on them, and some of them don't. You'd have to guesstimate that one. So chewing away at this, just to give it an irregular feel. I need to keep an eye of where Ed is. I don't want to chew away, because I need to blend in his base with green stuff, so I need to make sure I don't chew away too much. But I could chew away a little bit more here at this cut in and just give the base a little bit more of an irregular shape. So I'm going to just do that a little bit. Just to give myself a little bit more visual interest down here. When you have the same shape just going around all the outside, it's pretty boring. If you can chew out some pieces, it looks better without compromising your overall base shape. I'm going to chew out this. I want this side to be... I'm pretty much going to do this to the whole thing just to give myself a hill, essentially, for Ed to stand on. Yeah. Yeah, Nutella's tasty, but yeah, I'm normally not a milk chocolate person, but with that hazelnut mix and these milk chocolate candies, because otherwise one of them is a square that has hazelnuts in it, and the other is a chocolate truffle, where the inside filling is essentially Nutella. Yeah. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. I'll be happy when they're gone from the house. How about that? Which will be soon, the way I'm eating them. But yes, so now my caffeination is essentially, since I've dropped all to decaf and to decaf and non-caffeinated tea, like rooibos, all my caffeine is through chocolate intake. So now I'm starting to shave that off. It's kind of funny. Yeah, this stuff also has sugar. I've been leaving it more to David, like in the last 2 days, because I essentially, to wage war against this temptation, I had to make myself cookies. And these days, although I'm not able to put all the erythritol in that I used to, I'm able to make them with half sugar. Half sugar and low carb flour essentially cuts their carbs by 75%. So I can essentially make myself cookies and be fine. Be a lot happier. Won't be like keto by any measure of the word, unless I use all erythritol, but it is low carb. It's low carb enough for my body to be happier about it. So yeah, I've got half sugar. All my cookies are half sugar now. Half of the usual sugar and none of the usual flour. Christmas chocolate till March. No, I want it out of the house faster than that. It's just dangerous stuff. Plus, it frustrates my diet. And if it's here, I'm going to eat it. So I threw myself on the grenade before the new year. Now I'm portioning it out and begging David to eat more of it. All right, so now we've got this sharp edge that we have to deal with and make that more of a more interesting cut to go down to where our little skelly guy is going to be. And I need to make sure that little skelly guy can fit down here. So I need to take some of this away. I need to look at where Ed is. Put him back here. I can take quite a bit of this away to fit Skelly on the front. So, yeah, unfortunately... Unfortunately, David's work, they're snooty about chocolate. Because everybody here is snooty about chocolate, I think, in the Bay Area, apparently. Cheap chocolate or chocolate that's not great. David, I actually wanted to take my chocolate to CrossFit to see if people would help me eat it down, and David was like, no! And he grabbed it to his breast and then refused to let it go, or something akin to that. David wants to eat it. Unfortunately, he has the willpower to only eat one piece a day, and I fight with that. So I've had to essentially remove it from my area. Totally get it out of the way. Choo, choo, choo. Let's get this thing going. 3 kilo bucket. It sounds like a Sam's Club thing or a Costco thing. To see a bucket of Nutella that big. So Kuranico, instead of a werewolf paladin werewolf romance, a werewolf paladin romance, you may have to settle for a werewolf paladin urban fantasy with some romance in it. I'm sorry, I actually had an idea for that this morning, and I wrote it down, and then I realized that I am not a romance writer, and it was more urban fantasy. So yeah. Yeah, you may have to deal with that. Are you able to deal with that? All right, good. Because I've always been wanting to write that Werewolf the Apocalypse fan fiction. So this morning I got ideas about how I could essentially make it werewolf fan fiction, but not werewolf, so it would still be publishable. Not the actual role-playing game. Because I can change up just enough stuff while still keeping the ambient to have it, to be able to actually write and publish it. It may be my Royal Road book. It may be that. I'm still tempted to do the Royal Road book. And I'm like, my progression fantasy, originally I wanted it to be a rapid release instead of Royal Road. So I don't know. We'll see if I get there. But I've been chugging along on the writing lately, so. Yeah, werewolves out there. They just did a... Of course I own it. They just did a re-edition on DriveThruRPG of the book. This is essentially, this is the original. So this is a redo of the original system and the original world. They've updated a few things. They've, improved a few things. Some things have changed. They essentially advanced the storyline from the world as the apocalypse is here now. So, of course I own it. Of course I do. It's my favoriteest RPG of all time. And I had to stop myself from starting to read it because, oh my god. And it's all new art, which is fantastic art in general. Like, there's some good art in here. There's always going to be some matte art, but there is some really good art in here. So, yes. You can get it on DriveThruRPG. Shiny, shiny. I think I got the GM screen, too. Since I wasn't as into... I played Exalted once. It was cool and all, but Werewolf was always my love, and so all I cared about was Werewolf. And once they got sold to their Swedish overlords, I just was like, all I did was keep an eye on our Drive-Thru RPG to see if they would put out a new edition of the game. So when they did the 20th anniversary re-release, I bought that. And then when they came out with that, when Zach was like, they finally made a new Werewolf game, and it's, it's like the old one. It's not the crappy Werewolf the Forsaken crap. I bought it instantly. I ordered it that day. So yeah, for sure. So yes, you will essentially, so the thing here is, if I want to actually write something that's publishable, and as a person who's actually making money off of writing, I kind of want to do that. I need to change enough of the world, enough of the specifics, that it is not recognizable, that it is not Werewolf the Apocalypse, but I can make it very close. I can give it the feel. So I'm going to switch up some stuff. Okay, I'm going to make a little cutout here where a little skelly fits in, I think. And then I'm going to just sculpt debris coming down from this. We'll just have to do a bit of sculpting here to make this fit in. Chunk. And yeah, I could cut this out and it'd be faster, but I like keeping the naturalism of the cork, and it just gets me more little bits of cork to use. Luckily, with the edge of Ed's base up here above it, I can tell exactly where I need to pull out. Boop, boop, boop. Lots of debris. Lots of cork debris here. Alright, so we're getting there. We just need to take a little bit more. I think I'm going to chip away at that. I'd rather have more debris coming out this side and have it a little more open on this side. Since we're not matching up the base, we don't need to keep the skeleton perfectly in line with that. We can do what we need. Oh, bye, Nara! Good luck! I'm gonna grab this stuff out of here. Boing, boing. There we go, and it fits, barely. There we are. So we have to now make sure that we can create, I'm going to slide Ed back just a little bit. I want a little bit of a lip that I can create that blends in here. And we can't do much texturing on this above soil, but we might be able to do a little bit with just texture paste is my hope to get it to work. So I think that's kind of where I'm at right here. We're a little bit, Ed is a little bit fat in the back. He is, I'll have to putty that probably. He's got a lot of base back here. I'm sorry, Ed. I'm saying you have a big base. And you cannot lie. So I'm just going to try to scooch that, scooch this. We're going to have to scooch this around to make sure that it works, but it's okay. It's okay-ish. Yeah, I think that's like this. The whole copyright thing is kind of funky in the U.S., but I don't know if I really want this ledge back here. I may need to take some of that out. I like the ledge, but I think it's actually impinging on me being able to put stuff where I want. because I want to be able to move Ed back a little bit more, and then I can move Skelly Guy up a little bit more, and then I can have what I want. Yeah, there we go. I don't mind if Ed's space hangs over a little bit. I can work with that. I'd rather have everybody fit nicely. I'm just going to try to chunk out a little bit of the lower part of this. There we go. Alright, I'm just using a stiff Taklon brush to just brush some of this away. Get the little fragments out of there. Then it nestles a bit better, and I can maybe have my cake and eat it too on this. I think that's going to be okay. It's Ed. It's time for Ed and his Skellies. I don't remember what its original length was, Sir Gambit. What was it? All right, I think I'm going to glue this down and then start working with it, with the green. So where's my gel glue? I want gel glue for this one because regular fluid super glue is going to soak into everything. So I want to get this glued down, and then I'll put Ed on it. Just get a lot of nice things. I'll put some on the edges here. And we'll keep Mr. Skelly here as a spacer. And we'll press everybody else down. And then we'll glue Skelly down after I've got this solid. See, that I do not agree with. And I'll tell you why, Sir Gambit. If I write my books, wrote my books, published them last year, and I lose copyright in 14 years, that I can no longer live on those books. What happens if I lose copyright on the first of my series? Where am I then? Think about that. Like, I think 100 is too long, but I think that 14 is way too little. As a writer who hopes to earn a living from her books. Yeah, 14 is way too little. Because if you think about it, what happens if okay, my books take off, I can now at least I'm earning 30 or 40,000 a year, I can actually just write for a living. And then suddenly I can't, right? Because my first books I don't have them anymore. Anybody can do them. So I see why it's longer. I just think that the over 100 years thing, I agree with you, is too long. Hey, Major. But yeah, as a creative, I would like to be able to profit from, my stuff while I'm alive. It would be nice. It would be nice. And that technically applies to all the stuff I'm doing for that would apply to the mini painting book and all sorts like that. Right, yeah. Yeah, I would say it should be at least author's life. It kind of makes sense to have it be a little bit beyond that so that their author's descendants can, make a little bit from it. But I'm okay with the descendants losing copyright. Um, all right, I pressed down on that while it was setting, guys, just to try to make sure I had as much contact with the glue at the base as possible so that it would set up. And now I'm going to glue in the little guy here. I could use regular super glue for him, but he's got a hollow base, which means instead of just putting down a puddle of glue, I'm going to be gluing around the edge of his base. And again, the gel is nice for this. We started the conversation with that, Pendrake, but we should probably there's no like immediate fix for it, so we should probably cap that discussion. Like, I don't want to sit and kibitz about it all stream, so let's just move on. Because from there, it's a slippery slope to politics. So we're going to stop now. I hear you, Sir Gambit. I hear you. I hear you and agree. Socks are officially finished. Woo! Uh-oh. Take off Aurora, too. Nice, Tristoma. Well, now you should like make a note of that for your next pair, right? I finished a swatch for my new cowl that will be shorter. Although I'm debating just going to the dog blanket for Kiki for the couch because I wanted to do it and it's going to be mindless for the most part. I have to switch colors on it, but I can do all sorts of panels for it, and then that will be mindless stuff that I can do watching David play Zelda or whatever he's going to play after Zelda because he's chugging along. I had hoped, being at like a minimum 70 or 80 hours game, that it would last him a little while. Doesn't matter, yeah. What Quindy says. Doesn't matter if it's civil, Pendrake. It's not something that we can influence, and it does to edge into politics, which is something we don't want to talk about on the Reaper stream. So it was not a bad thing to bring it up, but let's just drop it now. Alrighty, so there we are. I think that's placement. It is, as you can see, a little off-center. I prefer that, I think. I think this is about right. Even though he's falling off the front a little bit, I can remedy that with putting more cork in here. Oh, he won't, though, Slayer. David's not a side quest guy unless there's a reward that's really, really good. And usually the rewards are just, extra stuff. I like side quests because I like story. And it gives me more story. But he likes exploring, so the exploring has taken him more time. But then he gets back to the main quest. So he's essentially new zone, main quest, clear the temple, then go down, explore the area, get shrines, and then run, but then he doesn't do the side quests. Oh, he's not trying to do that, Warshadow. He's enjoying the game, and it's taken him... I mean, he played nonstop yesterday, guys. He after breakfast, he sat down and played it till lunch. He ate lunch. He sat down and played it till dinner. He made the salad, ate dinner, sat down and played it till bedtime. He honestly, like, I'm kind of happy it isn't, like, an infinite game because, like, he would stop getting any exercise. Thank God he has to go to work. Cool, Sir Gambit. I like used bookstores for that reason. Sometimes you can get like stuff with like the covers that you read when you were a kid. I have a couple of Anne McCaffrey's old ones for that reason. he would be, he wants puzzles. The thing is, he's not happy just hunting monsters, Kerniko. The reason he loves Zelda is he loves the flying and jumping puzzles. Things that I absolutely hate. Hey, this makes it kind of a cool base. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna try to shift this over to where you can see it. It's all my debris. So I had all my debris laid out, and it made a base that was kind of... Let's see if I can get it back together. It was making a base that was kind of square looking, and it looked kind of cool. I think that one was over there. But yeah, kind of like that. This would be a cool base. With the rubble in between, like a cut up floor. And it would fit on something like this. So this is kind of a cool cool potential basing thing. And I'm going to use some of it to shore up Ed's base here, but I think I'll put the rest of it into a baggie for another base. Oh, it's really good. The story is really good, Agent Marvel. The cutscenes are really cool. The fights seem to be neat. There's a ton of puzzle stuff. And the side quests are somewhat amusing from the couple that David has run into. Alright, so we'll put the big pieces into this baggie to keep for later. I'm going to keep... I may need one of these. Yeah, that may be too much. Maybe one of these little guys. We'll play around a little bit more. Keep some of the little guys out for now. But yeah, I would say I've only watched him play it because it's not my kind of game, but I love watching people play this sort of thing because I like to be able to see the story without having to like learn how to fight myself. But yeah, it's really quite good. It's very Zelda, but it is very, very good Zelda. In my opinion, just watching him go through it. I'm going to grab a tweezers, or a hemostat anyway. Yeah, I don't know how it would be on the Switch Lite. We got the real Switch, so... Just kind of testing to see where this might fit, if it does fit. Oh, it's going to fall apart, though. So I might have to use fragments of it, which might actually work better. Alright, I'm going to cut that up. I just want to add a little bit of debris in here to shore up that edge visually. So I'm going to rip apart this little piece. Yeah, David loves puzzles, and I get frustrated with them. I'm the person who likes to play the RPG game on easy mode so that I can just see the story. I like some puzzles, but jumping puzzles drive me crazy, though, because my coordination and control of the controller is never optimal. Yeah, okay. So I can grab some little bits and I can shore up this piece a bit, and that'll make it look less like it was an artificial cut. And I can blend in Ed's base a little bit better once I've got that. So, alright, we'll do that. Now, I can just pile up a bunch of stuff, and if I use my more fluid super glue, I can just glue a bunch down here, and capillary action will pull it together. Or I can do it more carefully with the gel glue. But I think I'm going to do a little bit of glue here. There we go. Oh, did we just have the hiccup, Quindy? For some reason, it didn't connect to my thing was having trouble connecting to chat. Or are we okay? Alrighty. And that hangs over a little bit, but the part behind it does too. This is where I'll use my runny super glue to anchor that because I can't really manipulate that little tiny piece here. So if I want to make that stable, this little piece right there, then I need to use the glue and the capillary action trick. Just Twitch being Twitch. Okay, cool. Thanks. Just checking. I looked up and it was spinning and I was like, uh-oh. For the new year. Starting off that way, are we? I'm going to move my goop. So if I just essentially drop a bit of glue onto there, you can see the shininess of it. It will, it'll capillary action in there. Once it sets, it will essentially glue that in. If I want to have a particular position for it, I can press it in with my sculpting tool. Make sure you use something metal, and that's going to be easy to pull away. There. Ah, I blew, and my cork bits went everywhere. I should have known better than to try to blow on my glue. I came up with 2 more ideas for YouTube shorts this past weekend, which is cool. I was wondering how many ideas I had in me for that. But yeah, I'm gonna do one on what happens if my paint froze. One on, is there a wrong way to hold your brush? Which was David's idea. Because he apparently worries about it. Because he holds it in a weird way. And one on, can you bring back old paint? That's very good, Twistodoma. Yeah, the Reaper's usually very good about fast shipping. I mean, Ed always said that, you know, the minute Amazon started doing the 2-day shipping, he's like, you know, we may not be able to keep up, but we have to try to be as fast as we can. And I really appreciate that attitude, because there are still companies I order from that do not have that attitude. And they're like, oh, you might get your stuff in a week or more. And I'm like, do you understand that it's 2023 or 2024 now? That stuff doesn't fly anymore. Like, I won't order direct from some of these companies anymore. Alright, so now I've got this little lip. And I'm doing this, obviously this is a lot of work just for a little base that probably nobody's going to care. But I want to show you guys how to do it, because if you're doing something that you want to be more realistic, building it up like this, start with the bigger rocks and then start putting smaller rocks to build that lip up again. That'll help me build up to the edge of bed space here. I may also clip off just a little bit of edge space. It's really dicey to clip metal off these days because it's mostly tin and it's really hard. So it can damage your clippers. It used to be in the older days when there was still lead content, you could really just clip off bits of base. Now it's a lot more difficult. If I start to put some, like maybe I can do it on the edge, but see, putting that little bit of pressure on the edge, I can maybe get a little bit off. Luckily, I only need a little bit for it to fit. You can use a jeweler's saw. But yeah, it's really difficult, and if I tried to do the whole thing, it would be very difficult to cut through. So I might be able to I need to probably take off just a little bit more. But it will murder your clippers if they're not super strong, and most clippers these days aren't. Yeah, I need to take off just a little bit more. That was a good place to take it off, but... Yeah, but wire cutters, the problem is that, Sir Gambit, that wire cutters are not made for precision, right? They're made for strength, and side cutters are made for precision, but not for strength. But I find that wire cutters are too big, too awkward. They can't give me the precise effects that I would want. So usually I just work around it and don't even try to do this. Or I try to get a jeweler's saw, which I've got a jeweler's saw, but it would be just, yeah. No, I only needed to clip it one place. Like here, it's fine. On the other side of it, it's fine. It's just this place up here where I got a little close with the edge. I want it to be a little bit closer. But yes, if you have a lot of room, and technically you could probably wire cutters this if you, because you have a lot of room that's just blank space between ed and the base. So yeah, probably you could wire cutters this. But if they aren't built for precision, the problem can be deformation as well. So yeah, you just gotta keep an eye on it. So this is not the most optimal use, but if I can just get a little bit more off, there. Okay, good. There we are. Much better. I was just unhappy with how thick that was back there. And now I can see like the fall. I can actually sculpt into that. I think I should be okay. But yeah, not something you usually want to subject your side cutters to unless you've got a pair that are older. And this is our older pair. We have the fresher, newer pair that I bought David. That I would never do this with because I wouldn't want to hurt them. Those are styrene only. Period. Okay, so I'm going to pop just a couple of blobs of bigger cork rocks in there. Yeah, jeweler's saw is probably the best, but also takes the longest, right? It's that trade-off. Plus, it's so easy to break those blades on something like this, which is really tough metal. So yeah, if you are doing it yourself, you may want to invest in a jeweler's saw. But keep in mind, it will take you longer. On the other hand, if you try this with cutters and your cutters fail, you could shear the cutters, possibly hurt yourself. I'm pretty confident in these cutters at this point because I've done this with them before, but you just never know. So just be mindful. Choose the option that makes sense for you. Always wear eye protection no matter what. In my case, that means glasses. Alright, so I put some gel glue down into that gap. And the nice thing about gel glue is it's going to take a little bit to set up, so I can grab some pieces over here and see what I can do. I want just a little bit more in here. Oh, that piece fits in there, but it did not want to stick. There. There. Now I've built up that edge. You can see it where I needed it, and there we are. So now we can proceed to use some modeling paste and green stuff to work around. Like, what I'll probably do, honestly, guys, since this guy has, like, that little ridge of earth around him anyway, is I'll make a fall of, like, fill of cork spill around here. Like, right in to bridge this gap between Skelly and Ed. I'll have some crumbling ground right here. So almost as if this is just, like, sloping away. I should be able to build up cork right around here and make this look all integral. Yes, if you're not doing metal minis, then jewelry saw not really useful. And that's the thing, right? Less and less metal out there these days. Alright, so now I'm going to need some nice crumbly bits. Crumbly bits. That's a crumbly bit. It looks pretty good, actually. I may need to turn it over. That may be not crumbly enough. Yeah, I think that's a little big. Yeah, that's probably better. My hemostat is wanting to cling to the cork. Yeah, I just want to start building up like kind of like cork around here. So I'm going to lay down some gel super glue so that I can put these things in place around this guy. Then I'm going to start grabbing little bits of cork to press in. To build that up around the base of the skeleton. Let's get this even closer. Oh, there we go. And I'll build it up all around here and then down the side here. It doesn't take much super glue to do it. I think I have a place for this one. Boop. This is fun for me. I like playing with the cork and making it look cool. Ah. But yeah, it definitely gets a little bit precarious in there to try to keep it all together and make it look what you want it to do with the super glue, because it does take a little bit to set. And I feel like I need more glue right in there. So I'm actually, gonna let that sit for a second. But yeah, so I want that kind of like that. Used a jewelry saw for plastic. Yeah, I suppose I could see that. I think I'm going to switch to the modeling paste. Or modeling paste. Modeling paste. This is the Liquitex. I want to start making some texture on the basing here, so let's back up, and this is the product. Any texture paste, flexible modeling paste is what I'm using. Any texture paste that you can use is fine. There's stuff that is sold for miniatures, and there's this stuff that's sold for 2D artists, meant to add texture to canvas. I'm going to grab my flat clay shaper tool to use as an applicator. And I'm going to just glob it on there. And if I grab I have my old Games Workshop small dry brush. This is kind of a perfect tool to use to spread this stuff. It's plastic bristle, so I'm not worried about it harming the brush. And it is water soluble, so as long as I can get the brush into the water before it dries, it's going to be just fine. So I can use this stuff as glue. I'm going to actually let my brush live in the water, which is not normally something I advocate, but with this stuff on it, I do. I just want to build this stuff up around Mr. Skelly, make it look like a rock fall. And this will dry clear, the paste. So I want to do kind of a mixture of stones and just using the paste to create texture. And we can also use this with like normal sand and gravel to create groundwork on this side, and that's probably what I'm going to do when it comes to that. Now I can, I'm going to have to use quite a bit of sculpting paste on this, or green stuff. I'm kind of thinking green stuff to cover up that top bit. Essentially what I'm considering doing is instead of having this be earth that Ed is standing on, I'm thinking about doing part of it more as a stone. It would have to be just around his feet, and then this part I can make earth and maybe make it just create enough texture. If this kind of really flat texture is kind of problematic. There isn't a lot that you can do with it other than glue gravel or grass to it. And I don't know that I still have a really fine sand to use. Yeah, if I'm going to dry brush, I always use a synthetic brush pen rig. Usually a flat, though. I actually don't like this for actual dry brushing, the GW small dry brush. I think that it's, there it is, small dry brush. I think that a flat is better for in most cases, but yeah, that makes sense, Possum. Thanks for the tip. That's cool, Agent Norval. Yeah, I use the Reaper flats usually for dry brushing if I'm going to dry brush. I dry brush so seldom. Usually only terrain, gravel, stuff like that. Bases. I've got a little bit of glue stuff on my tool, my tweezers tool. I think I'm just, I go back and forth on this. Yeah, I'm going to get out the green stuff and start with that. Rather than doing the other side of Skelly here, I want to see how that green is going to work. And I'm getting low on time for the stream, so. Cool. Are they going to... Chronicles RPG, huh? Alrighty, we're getting really low on our green stuff, where we have just this little bit left. So I've got a lot more yellow than blue, and that always happens. It seems like there's always less blue on these, unless you buy it in the big tubes. Alright, we're going to clip off a portion with our thumb of the yellow. Remember to keep your green in the freezer when you are not using it, so it stays nice and soft and fresh like this guy. Remember to use roughly equivalent blue and yellow. You don't want to get too much of one or the other. A little bit difference is fine. A little bit more yellow if you're looking to blend the green stuff, if you're using it for gap filling. This is roughly close. It's maybe a little bit more yellow, but I don't so much care. I'm not using it for filling here, but I may want to smooth it into things, so I'm okay with it being a little more yellow. And then we're going to just try to blend this Ed base into the surrounding cork, and we're going to see what I can do with that. I'm just going to mix it up until all the stripies are gone. Until I can't see stripes in my mix anymore and it's just solid green. Remember that this stuff is not non-toxic, so before you eat food with your hands or pet your animals or whatever, make sure to wash your hands after you use green. All right, let's see, I need plastic to put the extra green on, and I'm gonna try to tackle that front part. Oop. All right. I want to throw some green in here and see what I can do. Grab my sculpting tool. I'm going to use a chisel for this one. Technically, I guess I should grab my small spade. Yes, that's a sign your green is starting to cure probably along the line. I would just pluck out that yellow bit and you could probably still use the rest of it, although it's probably just, it's not going to be as good for blending. It's getting old essentially, as you marvel. It's getting old. I find, oh, I forgot I didn't glue Ed down yet. I guess I should do that. I find that, let me just make sure I've got him where I want him. I find that I can still use it for like making rocks and stuff when it's old. Basing stuff that doesn't, you know, it's just chunky, that doesn't take a lot of finesse. Like this, actually. This kind of fill work. But if you need it to actually sculpt or blend or anything like that, then you should get something new. Alright, so yes. Once again, just hit the edge around the outside here. We do want to make sure we've got a fair bit. We want this to stay put. I think that's where I want it. Yes. Okay. Ed's own weight will spoosh that down. And meanwhile, I can hold them in place and sculpt with this. But that may be, actually, that's a lot of green. I need a thinner bit. Taking half of that off of there. Yes, there is, seriously. You have to buy a lot, though. And then you get an equal amount. There we go. Got to get some water on my sculpting tool. And this green is also going to help Ed stick to that cork, depending on how I use it. But yeah, you can buy the big tube, and it will give you equivalent amounts. I just tend to buy the smaller putty strips because I don't use it a lot. And although it keeps pretty good in the freezer, I'm always like, well, there's going to be a limit to that. And am I really going to use one of those big tubes before it just starts to go bad? So, but if you keep it in the freezer, I mean, I've gone through this entire strip almost, and it still feels really fresh when I pull it off of the... I'm just going to smush this into... First object is to smush this into place. Then we'll work it. But yeah, my first... and at least I can use all this up, right? So, as long as you put it in the freezer, if you work with it, you know, I whip it out pretty much for bases a couple times a month, maybe. So as long as you're going to work with it a couple or few times a month, you should be okay. Not need a huge tube of it. I mean, yeah, you're going to have more yellow than blue left over, but oh well. So this is where the front part of this being so regular, so squared off, is kind of annoying. And that's why I left this bulge here so that we could work with this and try to disguise this edge. If I was smart, I would have probably clipped off the side here to make it more irregular. But instead, we're just going to have to work with what we've got. So I'll probably build up some stones over this edge, i.e. cork, to disguise this shape. And I'm just pretty much going to... Cork does not stick. Green does not like to stick to cork, especially not if it gets it all wet. And cork loves to absorb water and stay wet forever. So this is the kind of the hard part about that. And also I have to like be mindful of these little skelly hands and not cover them up. There we go. Tip from Julie and Bob. If you store the green and yellow parts of your strip in separate containers, it will expand their shelf life. This makes sense. Thanks. So go right up to the little fingers. Kind of do a little bit of texture along the edge here to simulate that little stone bits that are coming out here. Let's get in focus. There we go. And I am going to put more rocks, i.e. cork, inside of that area, so let's get to that. Oh, no, you're right. Oh, blue and yellow. That's okay. Yeah, I'd freeze them and cut them apart, probably, Agent Marvel. You might lose a little bit down the middle. But if you freeze it, it gets really stiff, and it's so easy to cut with the scissors, especially I have a silicone scissors, which you can get just for fabric. Fiskars does a titanium nonstick. I cut my green stuff with this. They have a pink handle. They also came with a cool sheath. Those are my special scissors that I forbid David from stealing. If it's been in there for a long time, Twisted Oma, you're probably too late. But moving forward, you may want to do that. So I'm going to start building up that edge there to essentially disrupt this straight line that we're getting. Kind of looking through my little collection here for pieces of cork that would fit the bill. And of course there's a Kiki hair sitting here. Kiki, really? Really, Kiki? Piece of fluff. There. Fluff removed. Got kind of a weird shaped one here that I think I'm going to try in this space. Speaking of the puppy, just heard the shakes. I can press this into the cork, or into the green stuff too, this cork. And that'll help bind it in there and make it look natural. So we're building that up, and notice how that then starts to disrupt this edge that we're dealing with, that we're trying to erase. And speaking of puppy hair free of charge, there's a little doglet here. She heard me say her name. Hi there, little doglet. You've got a furry face, and you've got lint on your face. Yes, you do. There, I got it off. I got it off. You want to be in the lap? Is it lap Kiki time? You can come up. You can come up. Good. She's gonna erase me for a second, guys. Sorry. She wants a hug. She wants a hug. You want a hug? Yeah. Here's my dog. Good girl. There, good girl. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you gonna take over the stream? Yeah? Okay, good girl. Good girl, Keeks. Yeah, you only have another 15 minutes. 15 minutes, Papa, and then we'll get back at it. Yeah, we'll go and we'll get your walk done, okay? Okay? Good girl. Yeah, good girl. Let Mommy finish working with this crazy stuff, okay? Alrighty, so we're getting into there, and we're also covering up behind this guy. So now this guy is going to look like he's coming out of kind of a little landslide of stuff, which is pretty cool. Like so. I like having these guys on 2 different levels. It adds, do you see how that adds an extra dimension to the piece? Sadly, Kiki does not always stay in the same area, so that Kiki cam is really not an option. If she came and always settled in here in a particular place like Kiri used to, then it would be really super easy to do a Kiki cam, but sadly she doesn't. She's always settling in different areas. I'd have to put cameras all around my home, and that would just feel bad. Alright, we're going to fill in this last little bit. I decided for precise precision of application that even though the super glue is more expensive to use this way, I'm using it instead of the modeling paste. And then we're pressing in that stuff, that's making it. And then we're going to bring up some of this over this edge, and that's going to erase this corner. And heaping up the stone isn't a bad thing. It's not an ideal area. I would rather heap it up like away from where it's blocking the vision here, so I probably won't heap it very much. But I'm going to see what I can do just to get that stuff out of there. Yeah, this is going to be too much. Can't use a big one. Going to need to just do a little bit. Right, yeah. I like the little landslide. I like the compositional element now. Like the ground is collapsing and the skellies are coming out of it. So we'll try to erase a little bit of this now by bringing some of the rocky stuff up and over it. Over here. See what I can do. Can't make it too high or it will block the view to that skelly, so gotta kind of keep an eye on it. Make real small bits or flatter bits. And there are usually plenty of flatter bits of cork. So that's actually okay. I'm going to put a little bit underneath there. A little bit of glue on my end of my yeah, this guy does not want to stay where I want him. Well, it's alright. He can stay there and I'll grab another one. Sometimes it's good and it'll stick to if it's a staticky day. You can get it just to stick to the tip of your sculpting tool. And then you don't have to mess with the tweezers, which is nice. So that's created a little bit of irregularity here. We still have this corner to deal with, but sadly there's not a lot we can do there except kind of round it out by adding rocks around it because we've got the skeleton hands right up against that corner. So this side I'm okay with. That's pretty good. I'm going to be working on this side now, trying to just build up some stones here to create a more natural shape. Bye, Crowley. Yep, Happy New Year. Oh, did I tell you guys what David... I think I told you last stream that David got me a remarkable tablet for Christmas. It is really cool. It suits my workflow so well. It's great for brainstorming and organization. It already makes me happy. Because all my notes are in longhand, Quindy. I don't write my stories in longhand, but I do brainstorm in longhand, and it really helps me to do so. But then I've got all these pieces of paper everywhere in folders all over the place, and I'm like, where did I put that? I'm gonna bring those rocks right up to the hands of the skelly. Okay, I need a little more glue though. But yes, the beginnings of Kuroniko's werewolf paladin romance are in there. I'm gonna have to draw a cover for it now, which is the cutest thing. You can just use the drawing tools and the fill tools and all that and the patterning. You can create covers for your folders. Which is super cute and fun. Alright, I'll need a rock that's this size. That. Yeah, perfect. So we're covering up that corner. That's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. That green stuff gave us kind of a little bit of a structure to hang this on too, and it's helping with its adhesion. So now I want to bring in some lower little bits to cover up the last of this straight edge. I do love working with cork. I mean, yeah, this is taking a while, but it's also creating a cool shape, so... I mean, and this is the kind of stuff when you guys all look at the other cork bases we do, and you're like, oh, is that cork? I couldn't tell for sure, right? It's because we spent the extra time to put extra stuff in place so that it would be evident. It wouldn't be evident that we were working with cork, right? We're using the cork for an infrastructure, but we're not keeping that really flat part of it. And then actually I want to grab... We haven't worked on Corinda for a while, but we're about to throw her back into the rotation because I want to finish this base. But she's also cork, and we've just used various chunks of it to suggest that it's not. So, but yeah, Corinda will be back. I'll be re-adding her to the rotation soon. Probably right after we finish Angry Link. Because I don't think anybody else is super close to done. I guess Mermaid and Vamp Barbarian might be. Oh no. Poor Crowley. Yeah, we'll bring her back out after we finish all these leftover Halloween minis. It's Halloween in January. Quinty's happy. That's the problem with doing a miniature. Like, I'd have to switch to a 2-model rotation for the holiday to get them done. which wouldn't be as much fun. I mean, we get stuff done, it just wouldn't be as fun for me. Let's see, one little piece there. Uh-oh, bork bork. Borker heard something. Or thought she did. She imagines it a lot. Alright. That might be good enough there. Got it right up to the edge. Hey, BX Rock. Sorry you don't understand. Sometimes I wish... Oh, isn't there an app for that? There is an app that lets you listen to it, like a person speak into it, and then you can ask it to translate. I wonder if that would work for streams. She does, but a lot of the threats that she hears are like outside, way out on the street, Pendrake. She doesn't know how to really tell when something is actually in our yard. She's, a lot of the suspicious things she hears are not relevant, quote unquote. Suspicious. All right. The question is, do I want to keep doing all that all the way around? And I might have to. I might want to block in with green stuff the edge here to make it more of a slant so I can build up more of a natural look. But I think I am going to want to green around it. So we've got our green stuff. Grab another ribbon of it. So really for green here, we're not so much sculpting with it yet as doing just a general fill to create a shape that I can hang more of the cork off of. Hello, Richard. So just to give us that kind of like shelf, more of a smooth gradation. Can create some ridges if I want to, can help to position stuff. And like I said, this also is going to help. The other reason to do this is that Ed is metal and his base is metal. And that means that it's going to be really, like the cork is soft, right? You need a way to make sure that he stays on this cork. And so wrapping green stuff over the base and, you know, somewhat anchoring it down here in the cork is another adhesive that I'm using to keep him on it if he falls. Oh no, Dogfather. I'm creating a little bit more texture in here. Again, the super flat top up here is going to be kind of a hard thing for us. We'll have to figure out if we're just going to do like a sand and gravel or if we're just going to do a texture paste. I could just do a texture paste. Mix some fine grit into, or just use, I have GW Snow and I could just paint that. It's the same as their mud kind of paste, it's just white. So, and I may yet make part of what he's standing on look to be rocks. That's because he thought it was fun, Dogfather, and he wanted to join in. That's what Kiki does. If we get all excited, Kiki gets all excited. Either that or he was telling you to calm down because he liked the other team. I don't know. So we'll make this look like as much like stone as we can over here. You scared him. Oh no. No, I didn't, Richard. So I'm smoothing in what I can up here. I'm intending to put texture over the top of it, but doesn't mean I need to keep it really rough. So I'll smooth it into the top of the base as well as, you know, as decently as I can. I won't spend a ton of time on it. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I don't speak Turkish. I wonder sometimes if watching streams is a good way to learn English or other languages. I guess if you start with a little bit of an understanding, maybe you can try. The same way you can watch, you know, like movies in French when you're trying to learn French. Except on streams, I bet there's a lot more colloquialisms and slang that makes it a little harder. So I'm sculpting in little rocks here, just to try to create something that's close. So yeah, since the green stays good, stays workable for quite a while, we can add in some stony texture here so that you can see it there from above to match more like this. It's not as rough as this, but it should be close. Google Translate is a useful thing. Sometimes it makes not so great translations, but it is hopefully good enough. Still a very useful tool. Alright, so we're making some rocks. Gonna just try to texture the rest of this while we are at the end of the stream real quick. And also kind of press it into the cork down here to make sure that it also serves to help adhere Ed to his base. Need more water on my sculpting tool. we're almost to the point where we'll call it. I probably will just sculpt over it a little bit tomorrow. All right, I think that's okay. We'll just maybe rework a little bit of this. Probably stick some more cork onto this next time we work on him. All right, so we made some progress. At least we've got an idea, a concept for Ed's base at this point. I like him better. I like him elevated more above that skeleton. We'll still work on the spell effect at some point. But not quite yet. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I need to find a skeleton skull that I want to use. But yeah, so we're making progress. We're making progress. If we get all the basing done, then I can really start looking at this thing and what to do with it. But I like Ed perched up a little higher. That works for me really well. So yeah, it doesn't translate idioms for sure. Yeah. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will resume tomorrow with looping around to the front of our rotation. We will be working on mousies. So we'll continue to work on female mouseling. Probably do her eyes and the rest of her hair. It looks like her paw is furry there, and I totally didn't paint it that way, which means I need to do, or is it, yeah, it looks furry. This one is armored, but that one's furry. So we do have to go back and add some fur, I think. But otherwise, that's what we'll be working on tomorrow as we progress through Ms. Mouse. And thank you all for tuning in. Yay! And I'm excited for the new year. Yeah, I guess it's not as much as headline hobby news, right? Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yes, we'll continue working on it. It'll progress. It'll progress. I've decided to just invest a bunch of time in doing Ed's space very nicely. I don't even know if we're going to have room for tombstones, to be honest. We might be able to make one at the front, kind of leaning over. That might be fun. But yeah, there's not a lot of room up there. So now that I've actually worked the cork in. So yeah, we'll see it. But anyway, thank you guys. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Thank you, Quindy, for herding the cats. And I will be back tomorrow morning. Thanks. Bye-bye.